Some recipes can be daunting when cooking them for the first time, so Tesco and Sorted Food have teamed up to help you with some of your food firsts.
Today we're going to show you how to prepare a raw vegan carrot cake with a cashew and maple frosting.
And if you're making free-from food for the first time, then we'll give you all the tips that you need. Here is a list of equipment you'll need for this recipe.
You can find the full equipment list below or take a screenshot of this. As for the ingredients, you'll need carrots, orange and fresh ginger, desiccated coconut, porridge oats and some dried fruit, and for the frosting, cashew nuts, coconut oil, maple syrup and lemon. Next up, for a cake that you're not going to cook, you don't want to use gluten because raw gluten isn't great to digest. Instead, suggestion from you guys, porridge oats blended up in a food processor will give you oat flour. And while this is blending up to a flour, we can also peel and grate our carrots, zest and juice our oranges and grate the ginger.
Now the whole internet seems to be talking about raw vegan food, so I went to speak to a Tesco expert to find out about emerging food trends. Raw diets seem to be becoming more popular. Why do you think that is?
It gives you much more energy. Apparently it's much better for the skin and you get much more reduction in your cardiovascular diseases because you're not eating processed foods.
So are you seeing a demand for people wanting to get more vegetables into cakes?
Yeah, interestingly, because of the vegetables' natural sweetness, so if you think of things like beetroot and parsnip and carrots, we're seeing a lot of those in recipes that you wouldn't normally associate. So typically a chocolate cake might be flavoured with a little bit of beetroot. So if we were typically adapting a cake recipe for a raw version, we would look at the main constituent, which would be flour. What we tend to do is say, well, if we can't use flour, what else can we use? So typically we'd use oats, we could use rice flour, we could use coconut flour. So there's lots of options you can use to give you that sort of binding capacity that you'd associate with flour.
Once you've got a relatively fine porridge oat flour, place half of your grated carrot in with all of the other ingredients. That's the dates, just make sure they're pitted, chopped dried apple, desiccated coconut, mixed spice, maple syrup, and all of the juice from the orange plus the zest and the grated ginger. If it gets caught, give it a little spoon, but basically looking for something that's evenly blitzed up together.
Once it's blended into a nice paste, take it out, put it into a bowl, and then mix in your other half of your carrot.
Now this is the clever bit. Place your soaked cashew nuts into your cleaned blender, along with coconut oil, maple syrup, a squeeze of lemon and a pinch of salt, and blend it up until you have a paste. Obviously no baking required, however a baking tin lined with baking paper will enable you to press all of your carrot mix into the bottom and all of your frosting on top, then scatter it with crushed up pecans and dried cranberries and put it in the fridge to set up before you try and slice it. After a few hours in the fridge covered, it should have firmed up enough to be able to lift it out, and that's why we lined the tin. So hopefully the whole thing will ease out as one.
And there you have it, a handful of tips for making raw vegan cake.
It's our carrot cake with cashew and maple frosting, sorted!